Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Word is Your Wand. This is the podcast that was created to bring awareness to our words, and that every word we speak, whether we say it out loud or we say it to ourselves, it creates our reality, and we can change anything in a moment's notice simply by changing our words. My name is Carrie Mushal, and I am your anxiety expert, and this is my business partner,
Andrea Alexander, and I am your anxiety expert.
and we are in body coaching. And yes, we're anxiety experts. We find these things in your words. So that's why we're here. And today we have a special guest. We are super excited. I'm going to bring him in. And Hootan, welcome. Welcome to Your Word is Your Wand.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you. So we collaborated. We were invited. Hootan was invited, and we were invited to be on a lovely I Am activation with Lacey Wilkie, and we had a great experience. And Andrea heard Hootan speak and was like, "Oh my gosh, we're all speaking the same language." Which, of course, we know Lacey. Of course, we're all speaking the same. She has that vibe. And so we're so happy to have you here today. And before we jump in and learn more about you, one of the things that Andrea and I love to do is we enjoy creating a sacred container. The sacred container, in creating this space, we believe that one of the most powerful things we can do is breathe. And so we're going to ask that you go ahead, and everybody who's watching, listening right here, right now, let's take a big breath. Everybody inhale really big and exhale through your mouth. And again, inhale really big, light up your nostrils. Big moment of receiving, and exhale through your mouth. Let it go. One more time, because 3 times is such a divine number. So here we go. Let's light it up. Inhale big. And exhale, let it go. And everything we do, we are remembering that our breath is something that we can immediately activate to receive and to let go. And the next thing we always do on all of our calls, on everything that Andrea and I do, is we begin with a few decrees. Andrea is masterful at our decrees. Decree a thing and it shall be. Andrea, will you guide us on a few decrees as we continue to draw all this energy in?
Yes, and it's ask as if ye shall receive, and ye receive. And so I am my own divine will.
I am my own divine will.
I am my own divine light.
I am my own divine light.
Light I am.
Light I am.
Light I am.
Light I am.
Me. Love. Me.
Me. Love. Me.
Love it when it gets warm in the room when we're saying decrees. Will is on board.
The fire in the belly.
Yes, you feel it.
Yes. And so, as Carrie mentioned, I saw Hootan on a replay on Lacey's I Am activation, and I loved what he had to say. And the first thing I heard was anxiety and trauma expert, and I was like, what? What? There's another conscious one? I'm so excited. And so please share with us who you are, what you do, where you come from. I know you just came back into the US. You've been traveling. There's all kinds of things. And So if you'll share where you are so far.
Hmm. Well, first of all, thank you for that beautiful introduction into your show, and I'm so happy and honored to be here. These questions are always very difficult for me to answer because I get stuck in explaining and describing who I am and what I do. But essentially, what I do is I help people discover their true selves and to ultimately learn to love themselves in all ways, in all shapes, in who they are right now. And I was born in Iran. When I was 11, moved to the States, and I live in Houston, Texas at the moment. And yeah, I was in Costa Rica for the past 2 weeks, supporting a group of women in Native American healing and ceremony where it was a fasting, dancing, praying, and healing of 4 days and 4 nights. And it was the experience of my life where for the first time ever, I could say I experienced what selfless service really is and feels like. And it put into perspective how all the times in the past where I thought I was acting based selflessly, helped me realize that it was a little bit of a still ego and self-centeredness around it. And it was a beautiful moment of humility and just recognizing the true beauty and joy and power that comes in serving selflessly. And uh, it was wonderful, phenomenal, and I've already a changed person from that experience.
Awesome. How did you get to be an anxiety trauma expert coach? What led you into that direction?
I like to say that I didn't even know I was anxious until I knew I was anxious
We get that.
and realized how I was eating it every second of my life until I realized that what I was feeling is anxiety. And the only way that I can explain and the only way that I describe it to people is, and this is like kind of this example is a little bit. But excuse me for this example, but you know how when we go to the restroom and after we're in there for a little while, we get desensitized to the environment and to the smell and what's going on in there, and only when we come out we realize. So around 3 years ago, I had an experience with mushrooms, and in that moment, I felt so much love inside of me, and uh, I felt so connected. I felt so grounded. I felt so joyful and peaceful. It felt like love was coursing through every ounce of my being. And in that moment, I realized how much of my day to day life I was in anxiety and worry and stress, thinking that that's normal, thinking that I'm feeling good and peaceful, but realizing how much of that was just me being desensitized to my experience and forgetting that that is not really normal. It may be common, but it's not normal. And from then on, I got curious. I got curious what makes me feel that way? Why am I having experiences like that? Why am I so anxious all the time, so worried and stressed all the time? And it opened up the door for me to seek therapy and realizing how much childhood experiences, childhood trauma affects our day to day life, affects our day to day adult life. And from then on, I just became fascinated with human behavior. I became fascinated with healing. I became fascinated with love, with ourselves, who we are here to be. I became fascinated with myself, with God, with Creator, with the universe. And I realized the true meaning of life. And ever since then, I've been trying my best to help others on their path of becoming their true self, on their path of finding themselves, on their path of loving and living a life that doesn't have to be based on anxiety, stress, and worry, and instead on love, peace, and joy. Because I believe we're here to be happy. I believe we're here to experience love and joy. And yeah, I find great passion in not only experiencing that myself, but helping others and showing others and leading others that they can also experience it as well.
So, what kind? So you said you went into therapy, and I imagine some of that was traditional. And so, what types of therapies have you played with that till you got to what was actually working for you?
Mhm. I was blessed and lucky that the first therapist I went to, she was phenomenal. She was
Awesome!
phenomenal.
Congratulations for manifesting ease.
Yeah.
It took me over 30 years to get to that one.
Yeah, that was something that whenever I share with people, they're all very amazed and surprised.
Yes.
And it's something that I didn't even know that was a thing when I started doing coaching and healing. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought every person, when they find somebody, that they stick with them. I didn't realize that it takes so much time and so many different efforts to find who you are meant to work with. But for me, was she is a phenomenal person. We did talk therapy and we did a lot of EMDR, and we did a lot of somatic healing together. And after a while, because I started really diving deep into my spirituality and into exploring all the different modalities for myself, I came across this technique that I use with my clients, and we use the breath because the breath is so healing. It's called subconscious release technique. And what I love about what you guys are saying about our words, yes, the words that we speak become the houses that we live in. And the words are, if I could, an example that I could use is that there's so many conditioning and programming in our subconscious, in our minds, that the words are like the fruits and the leaves of that root. And so when we choose different words, we are actively reprogramming our subconscious, and whatever we feed our subconscious creates our reality. So this technique, this modality, is a powerful and albeit very intense tool to reprogram subconscious conditioning and programming, to reprogram all these beliefs that we have learned to attach ourselves to growing up, that takes away from our worthiness, that takes away from our confidence, and it clears these stuck emotions and energies in the body. So when I learned that, then that's when I took off on my own, and I started to share that with others and do it in a coaching setting, and that's what I've been doing ever since then.
And can you tell us a little bit about the technique and how? I mean, I get subconscious release. That makes sense to me because Carrie and I are what we've been practicing and playing in is massive subconscious patterns, and what we have found is our tools are that your subconscious pattern shows up in your words. And so if somebody you get on a call with a client, they go, "Ooh, it's been a rough day." What's your belief with rough? What's your agreement with rough? And what's rough? And where did you first learn it? And so there's that aspect. And then there's also the aspect of what our minds could no longer handle goes into our body. So our body's what's telling us the truth, that it's where we're holding all of the unremembered trauma, and where we have the experiences of being triggered. And so so that makes sense to me, subconscious release. And how does it, can you explain a little bit about how it works or how you do it?
Of course, and you said it
I'm,
best.
I,
It's through our words that we can. Uh, I like to call it reverse engineer, to find out why the person's saying what they're saying. And um, with this technique, what we do is, let's say someone comes in and they start talking about um, their feelings. They start talking about they feel ashamed, they feel embarrassed. Something happened to them, and they feel ashamed and they feel embarrassed. And so what we do is, because the subconscious, the mind is the entire body. It's not just up here, and this is the conscious mind, the head, and the body is the subconscious mind. So when we know, and I like to bring a lot of engineering into it, what we know is that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can
correct.
only be transmuted. So these feelings are not new. If someone feels ashamed and angry and stressed and anxious, these are not new feelings. These are feelings that are in the body, but slowly coming up to the surface into the conscious awareness of the person. And the reason that they're there is because these feelings are attached to some belief that this person is holding on to. And what we do is, let's say the person feels ashamed, and what I do is I tell them, okay, where do you feel this in your body? And they either say their chest, their shoulders, their stomach, their legs, their throat, their head. And I have them close their eyes, and I have them place their hand on top of that, on that area of the body. And I ask that body part, how old do you think I am? And the first number that pops up is the body telling that person the first time that feeling was created and triggered within them. And when we're there, I take them back to a memory that age is coming up. Let's say they say 4, and there's always a memory attached to that feeling that comes up. And so when we go back into that memory, then I have them spit out all the thoughts and all the beliefs that was going on in their mind in that memory. So if they did something in school and they were embarrassed and they put themselves back into that memory, then all these thoughts start coming out of I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I let my parents down, I let my teacher down, I made a mistake, I showed my imperfection. All these different thoughts start coming out, and these are the thoughts that get in the way of that person feeling love for themselves now. These are all the thoughts and beliefs that create the anxiety and the shame now. And so let's say we take about what we call programs, these thoughts. Let's say we find 10 or 15 of them that they just spit out in that moment. Then one by one, we go and clear them using our breath. So let's say, for example, the thought or the belief that this person is attached to as a child is, I'm not good enough for my parents, or I let my parents down. We take this, I let my parents down, and we do muscle testing on this to see how active this belief is in their subconscious. And then once we see that it's active, we also go and test what different emotions are attached to this belief that is still running around in the background for them. And let's say anxiety and anger and shame and embarrassment is attached to this belief. One by one, what we do is I guide them to take a deep breath in and hold, and I have them repeat this silently in their mind, this sentence: I release all shame with I let my parents down. And they repeat that silently in their mind, and once they do that, they breathe out. And what they're doing is they're telling their nervous system, they're telling their body that it's time to transmute and release this feeling from our body and to let it go. And then we go on to the next. I release all anxiety with I let my parents down. I release all disappointment with I let my parents down. I release all fear. And we go down the list. And what's beautiful is that we know that these beliefs are not only creating the negative, like by definition, not only they're creating the unpleasant emotions, they are also blocking the true positive nature of ourselves. So we go to the other side, and we also, using the same formula, we take a breath in and we hold, and we say, I release all blocks with love, with I let my parents down. Or I release all blocks with letting go, with I let my parents down. I release all blocks with hope and trust and faith and gratitude and joy, with I let my parents down. And we just go down the list of all the thoughts and the programs and the beliefs that this person is carrying with them. And instantly they feel the release in their body somatically. And it's been the tool that has helped the most in my transformation and in the transformation of my clients.
That's amazing. It's there's a lot of similarity to what you're doing with what Carrie and I do, and with our clients. We use decrees to support them in moving what it was that created the trauma. We return to memories. We observe the memories. We let go and surrender. One of the ways that we do that is we have retreats, and we do what is called body electronics. And so it's a holding of endocrine points on the body while they go into and remember memories and view things. And there may be like a movie, we see these things, and we can give ourselves permission to let go and remember the truth of who we are in those instances.
Yes. Yes.
And one of the things that I heard you say that, because I even had this, I had this experience with a client, when we're talking about this subconscious mind takes things into our body. And like I had somebody say, oh, well, you know what? The great tool that I got from my father was, what was the great tool? The great tool I got from my father is he fixes everything. He can fix anything. He can fix anything. So she thought that she's telling me, oh, this is a great tool. And I'm like, and have you been trying to fix everything? And she was like, oh, yes. And I was like, oh, so I mean, we think something, and then she's like, but I'm talking about handyman. Like he can plumb, he can hammer, and I'm like, and does the subconscious understand the difference? Because like you're saying, you're talking about a computer program that's in your brain that's coming through in your body. Do they understand the difference? I mean, fix anything, fix everything. It feels the same way. So it's the same feeling. And we take that into our emotional world, and we believe we're responsible for everybody and we've got to fix everything. And it's not working.
Exhausting.
It's exhausting. And I remember when she said that to me, I was like, I remember feeling that way. And what I've discovered a lot of with clients is they're just yet to understand that their body takes that one piece and believes it across everything. Like, oh no, it's kind of like I have a yes for this, but it's yes and no. Like they answer questions. It's a yes and no. I'm like, and how does your computer system do yes and no? Mm-hmm. It doesn't. And so if the answer is yes, it's yes. If it's no, it's no. Anywhere you have something, so it's that same thing. We'll find those beliefs, and we think that it's circumstantial, but it goes across everything. And as you mentioned, and it does block the truth of who we truly are, because it's a way that we have kept love out. Mm-hmm. That's what I find. And it's just a way to keep love away. And we didn't really know that, but that's what happened. And then it's like, oh, there's all of this available to me. Like the whole fact that you can't take something out, like energy, can't remove it, can't create new, you can transform it. That to me also is another thing that is very, in the world, I hear it a lot differently. I've heard it a lot differently in different modalities I've learned through the years. Everything's letting go. And it's like, or take the energy that you already have and just transform it, because we can't really dump it and let it go. I mean, I did have somebody say to me one time, that'd be like removing one of your legs. How are you going to walk? Mm-hmm. I was like, well, I just want to get rid of this. Like, I don't like the way it makes me feel. Like, I just want to get rid of it. Well, that's going to be like taking a leg off. So what if you just transformed it into what it was truly meant to be, that's what I'm hearing you say, because we're matching the energy. We're finding the energy that goes with that. For example, we like anger can turn into great authorship to create something completely new.
Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons I got so excited when I heard you was because I heard is that whatever it is that people are experiencing, there is something on the other side of that, you were the first other person so far that I've heard that there's something on the other side of this, that whatever it is that it turns into, because Carrie and I play with, there's a partnership for every feeling that, cancel, you don't know, and I'm telling you, but you do know, and I'm going to say it anyway, is that unconscious is, and I don't know, turns into being conscious. Guilt turns into innocence. Shame turns into purity. Anger turns into forgiveness and authorship. Fear is into faith. And so it's not, we can talk and talk and talk about what happened, what happened, what happened. And we can say, let go, just let it go. Why don't you just stop doing that? No, because we have yet to create the agreement of what it turns into.
Mhm.
And when we give ourselves permission, and or we state what is on the other side of this, what the transmutation is, oh, this is my joy returning. It's a lot easier for me to invite that in and love it, knowing that this what's on the other side. And that was super exciting to me. And so I imagine um, that your clients are experiencing awesome returns as well. When you talked about returning from your retreat that you did, about being um, new, you actually said new, and Carrie and I speak of that as a rebirth. We
Mhm.
have these experiences where we literally rebirth ourselves in a completely new way. And I also heard you mention that you had believed that you were being and loving selflessly, and you found this new level of, and what I'm aware of is that there's always more for us to explore. And we talk about we play at 125, which is 125% beyond our known reality. We choose to stretch and flex in ways that we have yet to even know that we can. And so I love that you put that on deck. Awesome.
Yes, yes. The rebirth is a powerful shifting from shaming myself in the past to accepting and treating myself with empathy regarding
One
the.
of one of the things that came to me in being a part of the I am activation, because so much of that was about all in oneness, and that there's a collective of the universe, there's a collective of the planet, there's a collective of the universe, and on the individual, we've had this belief in separation, and believed that it was a separation of people.
Mhm.
And what we're all becoming clear in is it's a separation from self,
Mhm.
where we left ourselves behind, where we left our bodies behind. And one of the things that came to me was that my shame and my guilt were where I separated me, in that I had yet to love them fully. And so, which is keeping me separate from myself. It's a portion of me that I viewed differently and didn't really want to look at it or see it. And especially um, the stuff that's on the darker side of us, which is still part of it's still part of us. Does it define who we are? No. And we're required to love everything in order to remember that we are whole. Because like Carrie said, we can't just say no to some of it and say yes to the other parts. We've got to say hello, I love you, to the darkness,
Mhm.
so that we can be in the light.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. And I used to think and believe that people are separating themselves from that shame and guilt. But I'm realizing now that we're actually using shame and guilt to identify or motivate ourselves.
Yes. Have you read David Hawkins, Letting Go?
I haven't read that book, but I
This
know
is
of him.
a great read. And what he talks about is that there's been a benefit to guilt and shame, anger, pride, whatever our modality has been. And then there's also the cost. So we receive some benefit, being the victim, being the martyr, whatever that may be. And what it all boils down to is we have been suppressing love from our life in some form or fashion, because somewhere along the line, either in this life and or lifetimes before, because we are aware that the limbic imprint of our parents and our lineage and the collective has said that love hurts, can't be trusted, there's pain in there, judge it, keep it out at all costs.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so conditional, right? Love ultimately everything that we do. That you touched upon the saviorship program and conditioning. That I'm here to save the world. I'm here to fix the world. I'm here to change the world, or I'm here to fix and change someone else. All we're doing in there is trying to find a worthiness of love. Everything that we're doing, everything that every person ever does, at the end of it, they're looking for their worthiness of love, whether being a victim, whether being a martyr or a savior, because every person on this planet that has ever lived, at some point in their life, they were made to believe that love is conditional. That unless they do something, unless they achieve something, unless they perform something, unless they have something, then they are worthy of love. Then they are worthy of feeling love and acceptance. Whereas in my journey, I'm starting to believe, I grew up with this teaching, but like you said, talking about it and living it and embodying it are two different things. We believe in the Baha'i faith that we were created noble. We were created of love and of nobility. So our worthiness is in our being. There's nothing that I have to do. There's nothing that I have to perform to feel worthy of love. Like my existence is proof that I'm worthy of love, because I'm created because of love. The Creator created me out of love to just be. And that's the shift that I feel called to really speak upon and share upon and teach upon, is that we're worthy in our being. And all these conditions that we have placed on ourselves, that until I get to a certain place, or until you get to a certain place, or until the whole world gets to a certain place, then we will feel love and joy and peace. And it's always like a conditional future pacing thing. And we know that every time we put something in the future, we get stuck in this hedonic treadmill.
And one of the things that I'm aware of for myself is, so condition is codependent, meaning that we're expecting somebody on the other side to do something to fill us up and to support us. And I speak for myself. I have, and I'm aware of believing that my parents were asking me to do something or be a certain way, or that my former husband was asking me to do something or be a certain way, and feeling judged and also judging, because love is so scary. And what I will often ask with my clients, are you a mother? Yes. And yes or yes. And then ask them, is there anything your child could do that would take your love away? They say no. The no is always the answer. And I say to them, do you imagine your parents loved you any differently? Ooh. And we've believed that we were being judged because we were trying to make our own choices and trying to do our own things and figure out who we were and what we liked and disliked. And we had all these experiences that gave us these feelings of guilt, shame, embarrassment. And the truth is, our parents loved us to the best of their ability. It may have sucked for some, but it was to the best of their ability. And so we've had an agreement with conditional love.
It's by design. That conditional love is by design. It's by design.
Love out.
Yeah.
By
Yeah,
design.
in the 3D realm and the human experience, everything is complementary. Everything is complementary. Where in the past I thought it was contrast, but in actuality is complementary because everything has its place. The conditional love has its place. The existence and the purpose of conditional love has its place because it is through that that I can experience and feel unconditional love and know what it
Yes.
is. So
Mhm.
in that approach, it's very complementary, and it's actually a great place to thank that conditional love based mentality and conditioning because it's serving me a great purpose.
Yes, what I'm remembering is when my coach said to me, she goes, "How can you know love, what love is, if you haven't known what it isn't?"
Hmm. Wow. Yes.
Yeah, because that's what Andrea always tells the joke, and I always tell the joke about going into a restaurant. And if you would you go to a restaurant and tell them, oh yeah, no beef, no chicken, no tomatoes, no ketchup, no lettuce, no fish, no, they'd be like, what is it that you're here for? And it's like that's what we walk around in the world. We know what it's not, but then we're yet to know what it is. But
Mm,
we're called on to have that experience first so that we have an understanding of what it's not. And yet it's kind of it's the doorway that gets you through there. But what we're learning is we require speaking into what we really desire instead of what we don't want.
hmm.
But that's why the transmutation of the energy and transforming it, I had so many times I'll ask people, what is on the other side of anger? They have no idea. They
Mm,
don't know. And yes, in their divine creation, they know, but they've buried it with so much of life stuff that they're like, this is all I've seen. I mean, that's what we believe. That's all I've seen. It's all I've known. And we are aware that divinely we were created of something much greater than that. It's
mm,
not really true, but it's been our experience so far. It's what we've seen. And so we're calling on a greater power. And then we're just aware that when we can be aware of what's on the other side, as Andrea said, that's where the excitement begins. Like
hmm.
it's sitting on this other side and sitting all of it. I don't require sit. I've sat in it long enough on my knots. And so now it's like, okay, so what is it? I just remember when my coach said to me, oh my gosh, like the most angry people in the world are actually your most creative people. When
Mm,
they change this energy, the energy of forgiveness is forgiving to you and giving to you and giving to you and giving back to you. And it's a creation, it's energy that is creative. It's
mm,
creative energy that you can create something massive. You just got to decide what it is you want to create. That's all. And but the idea that there's so much that can be transformed. So why are we want to remove it? That we're wasting our time. Let's go ahead and embody it and shift it and change it and find what's on that other side.
mm,
It's like it's Andrew said, it just got so exciting. And yet I am aware that we do require knowing what we don't want as an opening of the door to say, okay, now I desire something greater. What in the world is
What
this?
is it?
What is it? What is it? And so that's why just changing that's my belief in why we identify what we are feeling though, is so we can have the energy shift to the other side of what that really can turn into
That's
because we've been
beautiful.
running from it long enough.
Yeah, and I really like what you said. And one of the things that I've been and it's been my in my practice recently is feeling safe and not knowing. Cultivating a sense of safety and peace and not knowing and getting and realizing how much unconsciously I have this need to know. Like I need to know. I need to know what's happening. I need to know what's going on. I need to know my purpose. I need to know what you want me to do. I need to know what's on the other side. Just so much needing to know and realizing how much that is taking away from actually taking action and experimenting and experiencing and being curious. And it reminded me and it showed me that that again, that need to know is trying to show us where we lack trust in ourselves
Yes.
and how we can develop trust in ourselves, which one of the things that I'm practicing at the moment is I am either the creator of my life or I'm the victim to life. And if I am the creator of my life, then I am experiencing and determining my experience of life. And so cultivating and embodying this way of being that no matter what happens, I get to determine my experience.
Yes.
I get
And
to determine how I feel. And this download came in, or this realization came in, and it's when I even said it to my friend a couple hours after that, I was like, did I really just say that? Did those words come out of my mouth? And it was, I believe that God is in all of us. Our true self is our God self.
yes.
And we have hidden potentialities of God's power, names, and attributes inside of all of us. And when we connect and in line with that, with our true selves, it's like we become God-like. We have access to
Yes.
all of God's powers. And I realized that at the ultimate level, trust in myself and my true self, which is the same as trust in God, is being able to be in a state where you can even tell God that you can do whatever you want. I still get to determine my experience of life.
Say that again.
That
Holy moly.
was my reaction 4 or 5
That is called
hours.
sovereign security.
Hmm.
Tell it because you said trust in me is trust in God.
Mhm.
And it's a trust so secure that God can tell you what to do and you can choose to do what you choose anyway, and it's all right.
Mhm. Yes.
That's
Yes.
called sovereignty. Yes. And um I too believe Carrie and I, most of our decrees, which are how we create, because I is God, am is self, followed by an action. So that's where our words are creating our reality. Anything is I am followed by an action. And so because we have the ability to create through our words, this makes God in us. And we are God, remembering we are God. That we have, it's the same, there's no difference. We have all of the elements of the universe. We contain stardust from the big bang. It's in us. And we contain all of the same elements as the entirety of the universe. We are a universe. We are our own universe in action. It's the same thing as a drop of ocean water has all of the same elements as the ocean. It's only just it's a smaller sample. We still have all of the same power. And we're more afraid of our power than we are of our failure. And I love the need to know. Gosh dang, when we put that down, when
Yes.
we will put that down. I have a girlfriend who talks about, when we put that down, the need to know, and we go in the flow. She talks about like in the movie Nemo, when the turtles are in the ocean and they're in the flow and they're just, everything is just going along as it's supposed to. And it's when we get out of that we get all tumbled.
Mhm.
And I love what you said, that we get to say, and I am the qualifier of all of the energy that I feel. I
Mhm.
get to say what it is.
Mhm.
And
I
that's
say what it
that's
is.
exactly, Andrea. Always we talk about that fact, and it always reminds me. Okay, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so nervous." You're like, "Are you nervous? Are you excited?" I mean, because
Is
you
it
get to
pain?
decide. It feels the same way in our body. We're the ones that are classifying it. We're saying it with our words, and and fear and faith have this exact same energy. It's we're believing in something we can't see. So do you
Mhm.
want to believe in fear or do you choose to believe in faith? Because it's the
Mhm.
exact same. If you have believed in fear, you have every power to believe in faith.
Mhm.
And one of the decrees that I love that helps so much when I'm there is my great self is up to something and I'm yet to know what it is.
I love that.
I just love that. I tell people all the time, I'm like, ooh, is your great self up to something? You're like, ooh, yeah, my great self's up to something, and I'm yet to know what it is.
Yet to know what it is.
It is the training wheels. I mean, we are in the mode. We've got the training wheels on. We are set. And when we're in alignment, we're going to get the download when we're ready to receive it. That information that you just downloaded, you wouldn't have been able to receive it a year ago. You weren't there yet. But you'll get it when you're ready. And we just have to remind ourselves, my great self is up to something and I'm yet to know what it is. And I just, that excites me so much that I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Or I can just go down a different rabbit hole. That keeps me, that reminds me, and it just excites me. So that reminds me that I'm on my path.
Yeah. And what I hear in you is that's walking by faith.
Yes.
Walking by faith.
Look, there's something in this for me.
Yeah.
God knows what it is.
Right?
Yeah. One of the things my coach said to me the other day, she says, we own all of our experiences, and every experience is an education. Every experience is an education in something. Touch the hot, don't do something different.
Yes.
I've been aware of how afraid I have been to fail. And beyond my known reality, I've been afraid. And I'm so grateful to see that, because there is no failure. I know that. And I just, that what has run through me is this fear of failure for something I yet to know what it is. We just get to keep playing, and it's just fun. Consciousness is hilarious.
It's so fun.
It is fun.
And it's so great when my experience is when everything means something. When you're aware that everything means something, that there is no coincidences, that's not just an oops. When you're able to recognize that just gets so much more exciting. And that's really what I'm getting right now, is where we may have been scared and then we're trying to travel on faith. And then we're like, I don't know how to do this. And yet we're aware that if we just take one look around, there is no coincidence. So in every single moment, there is a communication from our divine higher power showing us. So we're like, I'm just waiting to get my sign. Where's my sign? Hello. It's happening right now.
Cat just walked in the room. There it is. Love has arrived.
Yeah.
There's always something, and it may seem to be minute. But if we are in the moment when we're believing in fear, and if we will pause and just look around to see what is happening right now in the moment, what bings when you say something. Andrea and I always say, we'll say something and then the computer will go ding, and we're like, confirmation. If we sneeze, all right, that's it. If the doorbell rings, there's a reason that you were interrupted and you answered the door. If you will give yourself that those are signs, it empowers faith on every level. That's the truth of my experience.
Yes. And talking about everything has its place and everything is a sign, and talking about failure, for the practice that I've been doing recently is, as a man, making it okay to be scared. Like, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to have fears. It's okay to not know. It's okay to look like a failure. It's okay to fall down. And throughout this process, it brought up the question, because in the Baha'i faith, in our scripture, we are taught that the fear of God is one of the greatest motivators. Not the fear, not fear in the way that it's been used right now, but I believe that we haven't learned to alchemize fear. If it's kind of like, feels like we're shaming fear, and we're saying fear is bad. And we haven't learned to alchemize it, to see the true power of it. And it helps me see that the world that we're in like right now has been created by the motivation of fear. And so there's so much power in that motivation. And if that was shifted, if that fear was shifted towards fearing God, what will we create? Not in a sense that, oh, if I don't do this, God will punish me. If I don't do this, God will send me to hell. If I don't do this, God will do this and do that, because we believe God is all forgiving, all loving, all compassionate, all merciful. But fear, in a sense where it's just a motivator. It's motivator to get you to do something. And if we can shift that one by one individually from creating, using fear to create what we're creating now based upon who we are not, using that fear to create based upon who we really are, our true selves. And it's a tall task, but I'm just being a student of my experience, and I really want to, and I know the download will come in whenever it's meant to come in, of why we are being taught to fear God, but not in a way that we're going to be punished or we're going to fail if we don't do what He wants us to do or she wants
My
us
my belief is that the word fear was put into God by man, as if you don't follow this, there will be repercussions. God gave us free will, free choice. It's up to us how we use that, either for us, for our great self, or against us, for our egoic little self. And what I realize is every choice that I step into that is for me is me using my divine will, my divine choice, my God-given. I am following God's word for me in those choices. And fear is something that we required and require occasionally in our lives, that has been, in my opinion, misconstrued, and our brain has taken off with it because our brain requires being busy. Our brain is doing something 99, it's doing something all the time, and it goes at warp speed. It's 100,000 miles per hour. And so we can use it to make up shit about fear and about whatever that is, or we can use it to make up what we choose.
Mm.
We're imagining all day long, but we're using our imagination against us, playing in what if. I don't know what that looks like. Oh, it could be this. It could be a saber-toothed tiger. It could be a big black bear. It could be somebody walking through the front door with a gun. It could be. How about we shift that's God walking through the door? How about that's an angel picking me up? How about we just imagine all day long that life is for us and all the things that are going the way that we choose rather than what we don't want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have the ability.
And what I heard when you said the fear of God is I kept hearing fear of ourselves. That's what I kept hearing, is fear of ourselves and being able to totally touch that who we are.
Afraid of who we are. Truly are.
That's what I heard, and I'm yet to have all of the information. But like you're saying, fear is a good thing, can be used as a good thing, and it may be the first steps that we had to have to be able to be scared of it, to find the courage to face it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept hearing fear of ourselves, like fear of who we truly are and the power that we truly are. It's one of my big movements was being able to see fear and be able to recognize fear and be able to recognize that there's courage in that fear. And being able to see that fear may be something that in my experience, is where there's more courage that just hasn't fully been accessed yet.
Mm.
I just feel like it's the next level of courage and courage to be in alignment, to be ourselves. And it definitely has a place because it's shown up to teach us something. That means it has a place.
Mm.
Because fear will make many lay down, and then there's fear that we feel scared and we go ahead and we do what we know anyway, which is where we're being courageous and walking through fear. And that's it's an awesome
We're getting,
conversation.
yeah, and we're getting into. I love this conversation because it's like transitioning into a philosophical conversation and trying to understand fear. In my experience recently, I've realized everything that I've done in the past 6 months, I've let fear be my compass. It's like whatever I am afraid of, I'm running in that direction.
Lean into it.
Yes, that's what we say too.
And what I'm thinking is that a lot of times what I'm being motivated at is we I mean this is a popular one, but a lot of people, including myself, we're using fear to motivate. We're like, if I don't want to live a life that is not what God created me to live.
I hear that, and we're aware of the energy that we do have, the energy we use when we create things. If we're doing something out of fear, if we're parenting out of fear, we're loving out of fear, we're making choices in fear, is that
That's the thing, though. That's what I'm questioning, is that thought process. The foundation of that is we're saying fear is bad. But what I'm questioning is that what if fear is not bad or good? What if fear is a powerful entity? It's a powerful force. We just haven't learned to use it properly.
I hear
We,
that.
we just haven't learned how to alchemize. Just like how we said anger can be a powerful force for creation.
Mm-hmm.
What if we haven't learned how to really alchemize and use fear the way that it's has been? And what if what we think the world what if we think the way the world it is right now is because of fear, but when it's really not? I don't know the answer, but I'm just getting very curious around this. Like, yes, we may think the world is like this because we're creating out of fear, but what if it's not? What if fear is totally something else and something else is in play?
It's our great self's up to something here, and we just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And
Know what it
what's
is.
on the other side of fear is faith.
Mm-hmm.
And
Courage and confidence and
all of the stuff that's happening in our world right now is necessary because we're aware that things have to get to a place where people are willing to do something different, and it's going to take what it takes. Hatred doesn't make things better. Love is the eternal law. And I hear what you're saying, to have a motivator of something that keeps a fire lit in us, moving forward and leaning into the things that we are believing we are afraid of, that we can't do, that we don't know how, where we show up in great love and courageous love for ourselves and do things. That is an energy of love. That is an energy of self-love that requires great will. It requires security. I know I'm scared and I'm going to do it anyway.
That's in my experience with fear is how you are using it. That's what I hear. Because
Yes.
if you're leaning into it, then you are courageously leaning into it to use the energy of fear for the great return of courage to see what's on the other side.
It's walking by faith.
And it is walking by faith. That's what I hear, because it's when we back out of fear and we go into the corner and we go, never mind, that's too scary, I'm not going to touch it. That's when we're staying in the energy of fear. My belief is when we lean into it, because we know If I'm that scared of this, there's something really
It's
great on
for
the
me.
other side. What I hear is you're leaning into it, and that is where fear is powerful, is because you're leaning into it because you know if it's that scary, there's something really big over there for me. But I've got to walk through this. Not I've got to live in it. I'm going to breed some more of it. Let's grow a big house of it. And it's that I'm walking into it because I know there's more here for me. That's what I hear. And that's what I've been aware of in my own experiences is if it's that scary, then I go. Like at the first retreat, I didn't have any idea what I was like, this is some scary shit. I don't even know what to do over there. I'm like, but you know what? I'm going because I'm so scared that
Like right all the way there.
something's going to be massive. And so I have those experiences. I still have those experiences. We tell our clients all the time, if it scares you, awesome, you should do it. Like you should do it. But using fear, I think the reason fear gets the bad rap is because where people backed out, where we wouldn't do things because we were too scared, where we wouldn't show up, where we wouldn't say how we felt, where we wouldn't look at people and say, I feel really scared, but I'm here anyway. Because that actually is courage. That is already the transformation of the fear right then and there. That's what I hear right here in this moment. That's what I'm getting. Because is fear a bad thing? No. But if we back out and stay in a corner and be like, oh, I'm too scared to do that right now, I'm just going to put that down. That's a different energy than how you're using it, because you're using it to courageously walk through it because you're aware that if there's something this scary,
it's for me.
It's for me. It's not really that scary. It's a mindset that's going, this is so scary.
I've never done that before. And it's different energy than out of parenting out of fear. Don't go there, you might get hurt. Don't do that.
And that is different because I opened a yoga studio out of massive fear. I owned a yoga studio for 9 years, and I opened it upon my mom's ascension, and I just believed, I was so scared. And I was like, oh my God, I just got to do something. I just got to do something. Okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do this. But it was different because even you can see the look on my face. It was, oh my God, I got to do something. It wasn't, I don't know what's in this for me, but there's something great and I'm going to do it anyway. That's a completely different energy. And so what happened over those years, sure, I had some massive, listen, I touched so many modalities. I met so many people, and I had some really great moments in there. I learned some great things about myself. I also am aware that it was set into motion out of fear and frustration, and because I didn't know what to do and I felt jammed. And so it kept that energy going. And so while it would have these great peaks, then it would go boom right back down. Because could I have shifted the whole thing and how it was created? Yes. I didn't know how to do it at the time. I didn't have that skill set. And so I'd ride the wave and I'd be there and be like, then it'd be like, boom. But now I'm aware, but I created it that way, of that kind of fear. So we do have to play with, what are we doing? Are we walking into this because I'm scared and I know there's something great on the other side? Or am I walking into this because, oh shit, I don't even know what else to do. And God, these people are making me so angry. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
That is different. They're different. Would you agree?
Yes. And as you were talking, what I kept hearing was the difference between suppression and activation.
Yes.
And it all starts with making it okay. Making it okay. There is no shame in being scared. There is no shame in what we're feeling. One of the greatest lessons that I had over the trip in Costa Rica was finally making it okay to be triggered. Like, I got triggered so much when I was there because there was like 200 women there, and over 200 women, and my own mother wounds were coming up. But there was this sense, the little self in me didn't want to show that he was triggered, didn't want to talk about his triggers, didn't want to express his triggers, and feeling shame. But learning that once I made it okay that it's okay to be triggered, I realized triggers are our pathway to our higher self. It's our God self guiding us back to itself through the triggers, because it's the triggers. The triggers are showing us where I am operating from my little self, from my not self, from my illusory self.
Woo! Yes. It's that same thing of all I created this. There's something there's education in for me, and
Yeah,
yes,
first and
making our
foremost, making it okay. Everything is okay. Everything.
Yes, how I feel is okay.
Yes.
Everything I feel is okay.
Yes.
I remember the very first time my coach on a call said to me, she goes, "Who taught you how to feel, Andrea?" I was like, "What? Nobody
I,
taught me how to feel. I
That's a
don't have an
great
answer for
question.
that."
Yeah.
I just told somebody
Nobody
today.
taught me that.
I said, well, you know what? The 3 questions. Like my mother was so massively nurturing, loved mama, love mama, love mama. She's like my best friend, right? But I said, what were the 3 questions that she would ask me? I was just playing with this. Like, what was the question? Did she ever ask me how I felt? No, I don't really have a memory of that. I have, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. It's like, are you okay? And what's wrong?
Oh,
So it was always like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And like, how you doing? Or what's going on? Those are not feeling questions.
oh, I
And
choose to
so,
pay attention to what my mother says to me.
yeah, I did. I just started
Right.
playing with
Wow.
that. I just started playing that with that today because I was like, what? And as endearing as my mother was, and as much as I loved her, what did she ask me? And I was like, did she ever say, how do you feel?
Mm.
No, but we're not really parenting that way. And I mean, I'm coaching people that are parents, and I'm a parent. I have 3 boys, and I'm like, what did I say to them growing up? I mean, now I'll say, well, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? Now I will.
Yeah.
That's not how I was raised. It was more of, what's wrong? That's when you ask, what's wrong? What's going on with you? What's wrong? And are you okay? Okay, good. You're okay. Okay. And that was it. Like those were we just had to get through the basics and then we just move on. That's not truly allowing anybody to just state how they feel because we are aware that a feeling will pass through our bodies as fast as 30, 60, 90 seconds very quickly as soon as we will acknowledge it. We're trying not to say, like you said, I'm trying to pretend I have no triggers. All good over here. No feelings for me. I'm in a room
I'm
full
good.
of women. I'm going to pretend I had no mother. I mean, like that shit don't work. I mean, we try,
Mm.
but
So, how far into the retreat were you when you realized that your triggers were for you?
It was after the retreat. I mean, I knew that the triggers, I've been knowing that the triggers are for me, but expressing it and being seen that I'm triggered in front of women, in front of other people was the new way of being. Because like that, like the conditioning that I was operating at, and I don't know if you guys experience this as well, but as healers and coaches and therapists and all these uh, services that we hold space for other people, I thought that I had to be perfect. I thought that I had to be completely healed and I can't have any shortcomings or failures or none of that. If I do, they're not going to come to me. If I do, they're not going to listen to me. If I do, they're not going to uh, hire me. And I realized that I think and I believe I have to be perfect. So I was projecting that onto other people. And yeah, it was the greatest weight off of my shoulders that I'm here to be
Yes.
imperfect and I'm here to be like it's okay to be imperfect. I love myself for being imperfect. And we're here to have a human
Our
experience.
imperfection is our perfection.
Mm.
Moment to moment is perfection. It's exactly what we require. And I
tell
remember
everybody the reason that I do what I do is
it's
for
for me.
me. People are like,
Themselves. And
Adrian and I both had somebody say to us, she was like a marketing lady, and she was like, "You're not really going to say that, are you?" I'm like,
yeah,
yeah. Yes.
Everything I do is for me.
Everything
It's
I do
all
is for me. Because every time I coach somebody, I know they're in front of me, and I'm like, I know while I'm coaching them that the reason I'm here is because I've either had this experience or I'm having this experience or I've had it and I'm at my next 125. Like you said, you're at your next level of something new that's being brought to you. There's a reason that I'm in front of these people, and that's the reason I signed up to do this, is because I knew that every time I was to speak, it was going to upgrade me. Because we keep, what is it, 60% of everything we say?
Energetically, yes. And we retain 90% of what we teach.
Wow.
So if we're energetically keeping 60%, well, then, yeah, sign me up to do the work so that I can be in front of these people and I can see. Because my experience, very much like yours, is after a retreat, the one thing that I have noticed is I tell Andrea, I will see the reason that the expertise on this is how I used to do things. This is how I did things. I'm aware as I'm coaching people. Oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah, I've been there. At the moment that they walk out the door and they close the door behind them, it's like all these downloads start to come in for days. Like we create days of rest because everything I believed I understood, more's coming. Like it just starts downloading everything, like you said, every trigger, every, oh my gosh, there's the next, oh, what is this? Oh my, it just starts coming in. And one time they were shutting the door, they shut the door, and I looked at Andrea, I'm like, my whole back's like locking up. Like my body was like in this mode. And I was like, I just gotta lay down and be so that I can allow everything to come in, because I'm moving through it, and I do own where I am. Andrea and I do speak of we share our experiences with our clients, and the reason that I know that I'm there, I also know that I get a ton of information the moment that it's over.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't I do it? Andrea's like, you want to do more retreats? I'm like, yeah,
Yes, we do. I remember, and this is the first time I created a class that we were doing out where Carrie and I, what we lovingly call the farm. And it was a retreat I had written with another coach. Carrie happened to attend it. And the coach asked me, she says, have you done all this and you yet? And I'm like, no, nope. I have yet to do that. And she's like, all you require is being just a little bit further along. And that was such a relief. She's like, you don't have to walk them all the way through the veil. You just have to get them a little further, a little further. And so that is giving ourselves permission, because it's all divine. What we're gifting, we can only gift as much as we have. They're showing up because we have what they desire. And when we will give ourselves us through them, it's even more. So yes. What do you have coming next? And how can
we can do this all day? I think
we can do this. I'm like, do you want to come over for dinner? I'm in the Galleria. What part of town are you in?
I'm in the wrong city, so y'all just have to flag me in, right?
Wait, Andrea, are you in Houston?
I'm in Houston. I live in the Galleria area. So, I imagine connecting for lunch or coffee or something in the near future.
Yes, I see that as
well. So how can people find you so we can put that up for you across? We'll put it on the banner so people know how to reach you.
Yeah, for now, people can reach me through my Instagram, and you asked me what I'm creating next. I'm creating a lot of space for nothingness. Like I'm being guided and asked to, I'm getting the guidance to, like, it's time to really be and do nothing and create space and literally just sitting down and doing nothing and getting out of that I always have to do and produce and achieve mode. And I'm also just started school to become a therapist. And yeah, what I'm creating right now is space to be, and let's see what comes out of that. the
And
healing that comes out of that.
What is your how can they find you on Instagram?
My Instagram is at HOOTAN underline, or is it called underline or underscore?
Underscore.
ZIARY.
Is it like this, y'all? Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
And what I'm aware of, you spoke into that you just returned from being in service, great service, and stillness is where we are in service to ourselves. And whatever that may be, because if we're in constant motion, we're going to miss what our next step is. And
Godspeed is slow.
God goes at all kinds of speeds. And I choose to bring, and I move at the pace of my feeling world. Is one of my favorite. Some days my feelings are on. Sometimes I'm blazing, and other days I'm like, oh my goodness, let's be slow.
Yes.
Oh, my favorite is when we have a coach, Tracy, and she said, I slow down. And I'm like,
yes.
All right, I'm on board with that one.
I vibe with that.
Just like that.
That's the speed of we know that our subconscious mind moves really quickly, but our 3-year-old, which is the emotional age of our subconscious, it's slow.
Yes.
And it requires great will and a lot of trust and faith to be still.
And that's the practice of it. The practice to create faith and trust, you create it by slowing down. At least for me in this phase of my life.
I hear you. Blessings. Yes. I am so happy to know you.
Yes.
Me too. This was I had so much fun.
Imagining
this is the longest one we've ever done.
And I am imagining something so friggin' juicy for all of us. I choose to know what it is. My great self already does.
Yes. Yes.
So
it was so fun. The conversation was so fun. We can go about consciousness. We can go about God. We can go about ourselves and talking and talking and talking. Just like I can tell all of our little children are so in the land of wonderment and curiosity. And it's so cool. It's so cool to have met you both.
Thank you.
I'm honored to be on your podcast and to share this presence and space with you. Thank you so much. I learned so much today from this conversation.
Awesome.
So
we're going to close. And if you'll stay with us just a moment longer.
Yes, we'll put you into the green room real quick. We'll be back. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So I'm choosing to wrap up and just allow everybody to know that you can find all of our information also on embodycoaches.com. I'm looking at all of these little ticker things that I have. And here, let's go to this one. Whoopsies. To embodycoaches.com. Our master classes is where you'll find more information about our classes that are coming up. We also have a retreat coming in the beginning of May. So go on and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's going to be our big one, is to go ahead and to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to Embody Coaches, and see what we have going on. Because we are doing things all the time and all kinds of fun things available to everyone. And this is how you can find out more information. I'm trying to type. Oh, goodness. Dogs are excited. Everybody's excited. They're like, this is the longest one ever. So that's where this is where it should be. Subscribe. Thank you so much. What's wrong? Something wrong?
No.
No, you said you. I was
saying youtube.com at Embody Coaches.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week.